guys, Julia Jordan, your favorite real estate agent, knocking out the last hour, walking with the cuties. Can you see them? Cutie 1, Cutie 2 at my lake. And I thought I'd come to you explaining you some things or sharing with you some things how we sell houses, especially when we are on the clock. So the seller needs to sell quickly, preferred quickly. I mean, everybody wants to sell quickly, but some sellers are like having an urgency, and there are certain ways how to push a listing hardcore and just to go all in. And guess what I do? I usually go all in. So when I have a listing, what all the agents do is coming soon postcards. I mean, honestly, not all. We have several where I should have gotten a postcard and I didn't get a postcard, but that's fine. I mean, I see everything on the MLS, but it's good exposure for a listing when you do so. What you can also do is what we do is we send out invitations for the neighbors only. Sorry, I'm emptying here. I pick up the trash every day of all the neighbors, so I'm emptying the trash at the trash bins, so our neighborhood is always nice and clean. We send out invitations for neighbors only, open house, to have the neighbors, the nosy neighbors, how we call them, preview the property. Because I tell you what, while some people are like, what, I don't want to show my house to the neighbors. When your house is occupied or not occupied and the listing agent is there and has an open house, why not show it to the neighbors? Because the neighbors have friends, most of the neighbors maybe. If the neighbors are nice, they have probably friends. So you do a nosy neighbor open house, and it can be hilarious and really fun. And you have the neighbors over, feed them something, give them some mimosas or something like that, or Capri Sun if you are alcohol free like me. And then the nosy neighbors hopefully know friends that also want to move into the neighborhood. So voila, there goes your advertising out of people that are very committed to their neighborhood, and maybe they know people like my neighborhood and people want to move in, and they would be honored to know first about it and be invited first of all. And then guess what? They will spread the word for you. So that is something what we do, neighbors open house, nosy neighbor open house. But then what we do usually in luxury is that we reach out to the agents that brought a buyer or brought a seller in that subdivision before. And if it is luxury and really expensive, often we go back like 5-6 years. If it is an area where I'm having a listing coming up in about 2 weeks, it's actually funny, it's a 55 plus community. So you can only live there, occupy there if you're 55 and older. So I'm very sorry, I'm way too young for that. But I could buy it as an investor theoretically, but I'm not in this case. So what we do is we reach out to all the buyer's agents that have ever sold there, because there's a good chance that they have some other buyers looking there. And then sometimes, usually not, we reach out to the listing agents. In this case, I decided to reach out to the listing agents. Oh, this dog. Because the listing agents, they do open houses in their neighborhood. And sometimes or often we have unrepresented buyers just getting their feet wet at the open house. And we, if they want to, we take their contact and reach out to them if we have anything else coming up in the neighborhood. So what often happens is that those agents that had an open house, they have the buyer for that specific neighborhood. And you don't know till you ask. So I don't know why I never got a phone call on any of my listings, but it seems to be not a very common strategy. It is very time consuming actually, but in this case, I'm calling about 80 agents that ever sold or bought in the past 2 years in this case, in this neighborhood. And you would not believe it, about 50% of the agents say, I actually have a buyer looking and they wanted to be in that neighborhood and we're looking a little bit around it, but they would prefer that little neighborhood. And it's a very hot neighborhood, 55 plus. Honestly, I had no idea that there is such a hype on 55 plus. So they live all there with each other and they're like a really strong community. I bet they have more fun than the 46-year-old bracket that I am in this neighborhood. So they're all retired. They have their pool. My kids and I drove through yesterday because there was an open house. So I went all the way to Katy to see what the competition is doing. And they said, why do they have a basketball court? Is it not for 55 plus? And I'm like, well, yeah. So they want to stay active. They have a really cool pool with a lazy river thing, and you can swim against the stream. It's like really cool up in Katy. So what I did is I called all the agents. First of all, very funny that a good part of the agents doesn't have an answering machine. a good part of the agents doesn't answer the phone by name, where you're like, oh, is it Susie? Yeah, it's Susie. Why? Are you with XYZ brokerage? Yes, I am. Why? Would it be helpful if you say, hey, my name is Julia Jordan with Keller Williams The Woodlands, right? Everybody knows I got the right Susie on the phone. Whatever. So I'm calling all of them and reaching out to them, and so many are really super nice up there in Katy. And they said, you know, a good part of them had buyers, and some of them had multiple buyers looking there. And that is just where we go above and beyond. And if you think a listing is just throwing it on the MLS and then letting it die there, you definitely find agents that do that, like Sand on the Beach. There are many of those agents, and maybe someone does it cheaper. But for you on the seller side, but also on the buyer side, but especially on the seller side, you want to be represented by someone who's committed to you and walks the extra mile, and also even knows about the extra mile. It seems it's not very common that agents do this, because I never got such a call in all these years. And it's amazing, because what you do with that is you find the buyers, almost all the buyers are represented by an agent. Once they get serious, they're usually represented. And I don't think personally that will change very much. Hey, come on, time to go. What was I saying? Top dollar, right? The seller wants top dollar. And by reaching out to the agent, you have a good chance of finding highly committed and ready to purchase buyers before the property hits the market. And tell me an agent where you have ever heard that they do that, creating a hype before the property is even in coming soon. Tell me that. So I have one in the Woodlands, and we have it right now in coming soon status. We put it almost immediately, and after I got the listing signed, we almost put it immediately into coming soon, and right away all the agents reach out. They also tried to sell it already out of coming soon, what is usually not in the best interest of my seller. And it's a little bit violation of code of ethics to show a property when it is officially still in coming soon, because it would take away from the other buyers that also wanted to see the property. And really unethical it turns. And I heard that this morning from a co-agent. She had a listing and her buyers were interested. She asked for a showing, and then they were not allowed to show. But then the property sold to a person out of coming soon, and the person was unrepresented, what usually means that the listing agent gets double commission. So that is where it goes really unethical. Why? Because for the seller, it was never created a situation of a multiple offer situation where the seller actually gets top dollar. Hey, my little sidekick arrived on her bicycle. Say hi. Hi. So that could very likely be a violation of the code of ethics. Hopefully the seller was informed and knew what they were doing. But the magic actually happens when we put you on the MLS. Multiple buyers are interested, and that is totally still happening. And then we get the price up for you. And that usually results in a better price than, not usually, there are statistics and they totally speak for that, that you get more for your property when that is happening. The only thing you cannot do for that is overprice your listing. If you overprice your listing, all the buyers are educated out there. They're Googling, they are all day on their phone. They're not stupid. If you wait for one stupid buyer that overpays, it will get you an appraisal, because the appraisal, usually those buyers use financing. Often they're very skinny in their finances, and that they're willing to go over where no one else bought a property, and then they get you an appraisal and you have to come down anyway. So why not have a solid listing strategy? And I am basically already all out here. You could almost do it yourself and put it on Zillow. I'm just kidding, don't do that, okay? There are other statistics for that. Yeah, so that was my 2 cents to being all in. Why are my listings selling? I do a lot of things. I'm like a duck, you know. On the surface we swim calm, and underneath the water the little feet are paddling. So I do a lot for my listings, and I love that, and the numbers speak for it. Look up agents, Julia Jordan, HAR, and you can see on the buyer side how long my properties were on the market until we rescued them when I brought the buyer. And especially interesting, of course, when I'm on the listing side, sometimes the seller is uncoachable. So we have negative examples where the seller said, nope, that's the price, and if I don't get that price, I am not selling. We have some of those. When they're too high, we're not even taking the listing because it's wasting everybody's money and time. But when the majority of listing moves and sells, and hopefully sells over asking, you can look that up as the public. Those numbers are public of all the agents, and you can do your due diligence. And if you have questions, feel free to reach out. 832-444-4923. Checking out Julia Jordan, your favorite real estate agent. Bye.